everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book HQ. So today I'm going to be talking about the third book in the Kevin Kwan series, Crazy Rich Asians, called Rich People Problems. Rich People Problems gets us that big answer of what is going to happen to Tyosol Park when Su Yi, who owns it, passes. The first part of the book really is a long build up to everybody kind of vying for being Su Yi's favorite in order to secure their place as inheritor of Tyosol Park. And it takes quite a long time to get there. There's a lot of anxiety, and we find out who inherits Tyosol Park. And I actually thought that that is where the book would have ended. But it's not. The book goes on and sort of lets us see a little bit more of Su Yi's life as a younger woman during the Japanese occupation of China, during the wars, how her brother really died, what her relationship is with her living brother. And then there's a huge sort of reveal, which shocked me, that Su Yi actually doesn't have any money. Well, saying doesn't have any money in these people's terms is like she has a couple million, which is still a lot of money to us mere mortals. But in the world of Crazy Rich Asians, a few millions is nothing. And all that money she bequeaths to her workers. And so really the only thing that she leaves to her children are properties. And the main property that everybody has on their minds is, of course, Tyosol Park. And what ends up happening to it is that it gets split among her son, Nick, and I think it's Alistair, Nick's cousin, the one who is dating Kitty Pong, and Nick's aunt. They don't get left any like cold hard cash. And so what's happening is that the family decide that because there is no cash that's left to them, that they should sell Tyosol Park because they would make a killing off of it and everybody would get cash. Not everybody agrees or concurs with this decision, Nick, and he sort of goes on a mission to try and save Tyosol Park from being bought by. So Kitty Pong is vying for it, but Colette Bing is also vying for it. And they, of course, if they get it, are not going to keep it the way it is. They're going to tear it down and make changes, and it actually has a lot of value, not only sentimental family value, but a lot of value in terms of being a safe house during the war. And so it has like historical and cultural value as well, which is kind of the pitch that Nick ends up using in his campaign to save it. We also get to see a bit more of other characters. There's a young man whose name escapes me right now, who is helping Kitty Pong with renovating her new home. He's a cousin of Nick's, and it's interesting to hear a little bit more about his life because he's actually struggling financially, him and his parents. They're actually in financial ruin, but you would never know because he is basically holding everything together, struggling to make ends meet, juggling every month by paying one bill, skipping another, doing this Russian roulette of paying bills in order to keep afloat him and his family. And so him being on retainer with Kitty Pong is actually helping save him and his family. And it was really nice to hear a struggle that many regular people can relate to. I also want to credit Kevin Kwan for writing about grieving so well. When I was reading about the different daughters and the way in which they grieved for their mom Su Yi when she passed, it was very real and something that I really related to because I also lost my father recently in 2017, and just reading it just felt so relatable and real and understandable. And I also really appreciated the advice that Kitty Pong gets given by Nick's cousin. Can't believe I can't remember his name. Kitty Pong is being completely unreasonable and trying to compete with her husband's daughter, Colette Bing, and she actually gets given really good, really realistic advice, which I think is something very useful because you also learn a lot from this book. You learn a lot from the things that people in this book are learning during their character development, and I really liked that. Something which I thought was a bit meh was this like drama with Astrid and Charlie's ex-wife, well, wife, I guess, Isabel. She was just so extra, as the French say, it was just trop. There were a couple of moments in the book when things were happening and I was just like, Astrid, you are so dumb. I can't believe you just did that. Like, what, really so trusting and so goody-goody four shoes? Come on. Stop being so naive. That drama that just like elevated and became trop, I guess, to kind of change the narrative of Astrid's life, I think was a bit much. But I mean, it was also really cool to sort of see Astrid shake off the yoke of being this perfect and just being too perfect, because she's still pretty perfect even in this kind of new way of life that she's adopted. But it was just nice to see not the typical marry the prince and live happily ever after. And while she is living happily ever after, she's doing so not in the predictable way. It was quite a long book. There was a couple of things, like I said, the drama with Astrid and Isabel and Charlie Wu. But then I also thought at the beginning of the book starts with like listing problems, rich people problems, like problem number 1, blah, 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 problem number 2, blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was kind of interesting, but it kind of disappears suddenly without any explanation. So I was just kind of like, oh, that's weird. Why did you start it that way if you were only just going to abandon somewhere along the line without any explanation? That and the fact that I thought that the book would end when we found out what happened to Taisel Park. And the thing is that, like, we find out what happens to Taisel Park, but the whole Taisel Park thing continues even till the end of the book, because the fate of Taisel Park changes yet again at the end of the book. Those are my thoughts on rich people problems. And the final video, because I'm done with all 3 now. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and press that subscribe button. But until next time, keep reading and keep watching. Bye-bye.